Welcome back to Plantoria Gardening. How much money have you spent on bagged compost in the last 5 years? Be honest. Most gardeners add it up and land somewhere between $200 and $400. And after all that spending, soil that is still not where you want it, plants that are decent but never great, and the same trip to the garden center every spring. Farmers in rural Japan have not bought a single bag of soil amendment in generations. Their soil has been producing for over 1,000 years and gets richer every season. Today I am going to show you exactly how they do it. And stay with me to the end because I will share one ingredient they use that cuts composting time nearly in half. You can get it at most Asian grocery stores for under $2, and nobody in Western gardening talks about it. If this is the kind of content you came for, subscribe to my channel right now. We upload new videos every week. The foundation of the Japanese method is a concept called Satoyama. Sato means village. Yama means mountain. It described the zone between forest and farmland, where villagers collected fallen leaves, cut grasses, and carried every scrap of organic material back to their fields. Food waste, crop residue, wood ash, even human waste, which they called shimogo and used as liquid fertilizer. All of it went back into the soil. Nothing left the cycle, ever. This system was perfected during the Edo period, from 1603 to 1868. 30 million people, islands where less than 15% of the land could be farmed. No room for soil failure. No synthetic inputs to bail them out. The entire food supply depended on keeping every patch of soil alive and productive indefinitely. What they built was one of the most efficient agricultural systems ever recorded. Soil from those Edo period farms still tests at microbial diversity levels that modern commercially farmed land cannot match. Here is why that matters. The bacteria, fungi, and nematodes in your soil are not a bonus feature, they are the engine. They convert organic matter into nutrients your plants can absorb. They build soil structure that holds water and drains properly. When industrial compost is heated above 160 degrees Fahrenheit for speed and consistency, most of that microbial life is dead before the bag is sealed. You are buying organic matter without the biology that makes it work. Japanese compost, kept between 130 and 140 degrees, preserves the full living ecosystem. That difference shows up in your garden within one growing season. Here is how you build it. Place your pile on bare earth, not concrete, not gravel, not a sealed plastic bin. Direct ground contact lets earthworms, beetles, and fungal networks migrate up into the pile from below. Lose that connection, and you lose a significant part of what does the decomposing. Minimum size is 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep, 3 feet tall. That is the smallest a pile can be and still generate enough internal heat to drive fast decomposition. 4 feet in every direction is better. In zones 3 through 5, build at 4 feet minimum and position the pile against a north-facing wall or fence to block wind and hold heat into fall. In zones 9 through 11, shade matters more than anything. A pile in full afternoon sun in a hot climate dries out in 3 days and stops working. Aim for morning sun and afternoon shade. In zones 6 through 8, partial sun throughout the day is all you need. If an open pile is not practical, 3 wooden pallets wired into a U-shape work perfectly, and most businesses give them away free. The ratio is 3 parts brown material to 1 part green by volume. Browns are dry carbon-rich materials, dried leaves, straw, shredded cardboard, wood chips. Greens are wet nitrogen-rich materials, vegetable scraps, fruit peels, fresh grass clippings, garden trimmings. 3 buckets of dried leaves to 1 bucket of kitchen scraps. Too many greens and the pile turns slimy and anaerobic. Too many browns and it sits doing nothing. 3 to 1 is the balance that makes the biology work. Keep out of your pile meat, dairy, oily cooked food, dog or cat waste, diseased plants, and weeds that have gone to seed. Now build it in layers. Start with a 3 to 4 inch base of coarse rough material, thick corn stalks, broken branches, bamboo stems. This layer creates air channels at the bottom so oxygen can rise through the pile. Without it, the base goes anaerobic and produces the sulfur smell that makes most people give up on composting permanently. On top of that base, alternate 4 to 6 inches of browns with 2 to 3 inches of greens until you reach your target height. Every few layers, scatter one thin shovelful of finished compost or plain garden soil across the surface. This seeds the whole pile with microbial life. Japanese farmers never bought commercial starter products. A handful of soil from last season's pile worked better than anything in a bottle. Do not pack the layers down. The pile needs airflow throughout. Check moisture once a week by reaching 12 inches in and squeezing a handful. 1 drop of water is correct. Dry and crumbly means decomposition has stalled. Water it gently. Dripping wet means oxygen is gone. Add dry browns and turn it. In zones 8 through 11, cover the top loosely with 4 to 6 inches of straw through summer to slow evaporation. In zones 3 through 5, keep adding material through winter. The pile stores every input and processes it fast the moment temperatures rise in spring. Within 3 to 5 days of building, push your hand 12 inches into the center. It should feel hot. On cool mornings, you will see steam rising from the surface. A compost thermometer should read between 130 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit. When that temperature drops, usually around 10 to 14 days in, turn the pile with a pitchfork. Move the outer material to the center and the center material outward. The pile will reheat within 48 hours. Repeat this 3 to 4 times over 8 to 12 weeks. When the material is uniformly dark, crumbly, and smells like forest earth with no original ingredients visible, it is done. In zones 6 through 8, 2 full cycles per year are achievable. In zones 9 through 11, 3 cycles. In zones 3 through 5, 1 cycle started in spring and finished before the first hard frost. 4 mistakes most gardeners make. I made all of them. Buying bagged compost and thinking it is equivalent to homemade. Industrial heat processing kills the microbial community. You are paying for dead organic matter. Dumping materials without layering. Random piles decompose in patches, one section working, while the section beside it sits untouched for months. Layering distributes everything evenly so the pile works as a single unit. Turning on a schedule instead of reading the pile. Turn before the temperature drops and you interrupt the bacterial cycle mid-process. Never turn and the outer material never fully breaks down. Turn when the heat drops. That is the only signal that matters. Quitting over smell. A smelly pile has a fixable imbalance. Sulfur smell means too many greens and not enough oxygen. Add browns and turn it. The smell is gone in 2 days. Every time. Which of those have you made? Drop it in the comments. Tell me your zone and what brown materials you have access to. I read every comment and will give you specific advice. If you are getting real value from this, subscribe to my channel so more people can benefit. Now the ingredient nobody talks about. It is called Bokashi. The word in Japanese means fading. The way colors dissolve slowly at the edge of a painting. It is a fermented bran carrier. Wheat or rice bran, inoculated with lactobacillus bacteria, yeasts, and phototrophic bacteria. Dr. Teruo Higa, at the University of the Ryukyus in Okinawa, formally documented it in the 1980s, but the fermentation principles behind it trace back centuries to the same culture that produced miso, sake, and natto. Scatter a tablespoon or 2 of Bokashi bran between the green layers of your pile as you build it. The microorganisms ferment the organic material and produce a pre-digested output that breaks down inside the pile in 2 to 4 weeks instead of 2 to 4 months. Gardeners who use Bokashi consistently finish their compost 3 to 5 weeks ahead of identical piles without it. Bokashi also handles what standard composting cannot: small amounts of meat scraps, fish bones, cooked food, dairy. Fermented with Bokashi bran and buried 6 inches deep in garden soil, these materials break down completely, without odor and without attracting rodents. This is why Japanese households that use Bokashi generate almost no organic kitchen waste at all. For zones 3 through 5, where outdoor composting stops through winter, run a sealed Bokashi bucket indoors in a garage or basement. Layer kitchen scraps with Bokashi bran as you fill it. By the time the ground thaws in spring, you have a bucket of fermented material ready to go straight into your outdoor pile. It will heat up faster than any pile built from untreated stored scraps, and you will not lose a single week of your short warm season. For zones 9 through 11, where summer heat pushes aerobic piles past the range where standard bacteria thrive, Bokashi organisms function at higher temperatures and keep your pile active through the hottest months instead of stalling until fall. Find Bokashi bran at Asian grocery stores or independent garden centers. Under $2. If this video changed your view on how to make your soil fertile, subscribe now because videos like this are posted every week so you don't miss out. Once your compost is finished, spread 2 to 3 inches across your beds and work it into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. Do this in early spring before planting, and again in late fall after clearing your crops. 2 applications per year is what kept Japanese farming soil improving for centuries instead of leveling off. For new beds, 3 to 4 inches in the first season builds the microbial foundation everything that follows depends on. For established beds, 2 inches per season is enough for maintenance. 3 questions before you go. What is your biggest composting challenge right now? What zone are you in? Have you heard of Bokashi before today? I answer every one of your questions. Those Edo period farmers looked at what came out of their kitchens and their fields and saw ingredients instead of waste. They returned everything, and the result was soil so productive it has outlasted 400 years of history on those islands. You do not need a rice paddy or a mountain village. You need the right size pile, the right ratio, a pitchfork, consistent moisture, and a $2 bag of bran. What you produce is something no store can sell you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.